Hey Shelly, how you doing? I got your work up here, and I think, well, actually, let me go ahead and download that PDF. Sorry, I should have done this before, but this should only take a second to open. Okay, so I want to go through each one of these, and it looks like you have a few, so fantastic job providing a lot of variety here. And I'm going to make a few comments, and I think you'll start finding some generalities, some generalizations that kind of start forming patterns in my analysis. And what that's going to point to is minimalism, and I believe in minimalism as a designer's mark, as a student designer. I think it's the best way to learn branding, and I think it's also the best way to accidentally not step overboard and start over branding. So think about that in relationship to my comments. Okay, so this first piece, I think it's a little over the top. I think it's kind of a cute idea, but you want to be known as a kind of a cute designer. Do you know what I'm saying? So you got the little happy face, and that's really cute and everything. But what are you going to call this designer to do your corporate identity? I'm sorry, your annual report for your corporation. Probably not, because it's just so lighthearted that it's not versatile. Okay, let's jump over here, and I see the S, and the one thing I don't feel here is the jaggedness of that mark. I think that doesn't translate well to what you and how you want to be known as a designer. It's too jagged, almost painful. If those were sharp lines, it would be darn right painful, but that is a sharp line, so is that, and so are those. So equaling into, or as it equates to basic visual communication, a sharp point equals pain. So that's how that's going to be taken. Okay. Now, before I go on, I want to mention one thing. I think I wouldn't go with this. I wouldn't recommend this, because why? As a graphic designer, we are web designers, we are motion designers, and we are print designers. So I recommend just saying what we are. That's graphic designer. I'm pretty sure you are a graphic design major, I believe. But so I believe that in not diluting your branding by trying to overbrand. So I always recommend to students, do what you do and list it. Okay, don't try to list too many things, because think of Hick's law. Every one of these you add, each other one becomes less important. Okay, so I always recommend to go just with graphic designer, if anything at all. So look over here. Looks like you're starting to get into this comparison, these letter forms, and I think this is interesting. My main question here is, what is the reasoning behind the two red circles? Without any apparent reasoning, I would say stay away from that. Also, again, you got these sharp points, again, indicating in basic visual communication, indicating uncomfortable situation. This one, I think it's kind of cute, it's kind of fun, but again, you're adding all these, like this one, you're kind of building you're building the height of it, and I think you played off that right here really nicely. So you're using the vertical space in an interesting way. I wouldn't say an efficient way, I'd say an interesting way. So that's interesting. Let's move on. I think this is where it's really starting to get interesting, as you're starting to develop this relationship between the S and the C. Okay, and and you can really see where it starts to take off. Okay, using negative space, good job. I think this is very, very close to your answer right here, because it's very clearly an S, and it's very clearly a C, or two C's, or whatever was going to indicate a C. It's SC, and it's clever. I'm not real sure about the typeface here. I think that, this spans out. This is a little too wide right here. I would play with that, and I would play with this whole idea here. I recommend, while you're working with spatial relations, don't work with red and black. Just work in black. You can change it later on. But what I would do is I would develop this mark, and then I would remove that and concentrate on the relationship between this mark and your name. Try some different typefaces with your name, but really try to work those relationships out, because I think this is going to be a strong mark. It's very clever for SC. So that's my recommendation. This one, this is just two-dimensional. I don't mean two-dimensional. I mean, it's two-dimensional. I think it goes good if it almost looks like film, but as the way that each of these surfaces kind of sit, it's just really kind of pointing to the left, and it's giving this illusion of imbalance towards the left side of the composition. Okay, so again, I think this is your answer. Now, I'm not saying that the mark belongs on top of your name. The mark could possibly go over here on the side of your name. The relationship could be something like that. You know, try working those relationships. But I think this is the most interesting combination I've seen so far. And again, I recommend saying either graphic designer or just saying nothing at all. Shelley Kelly or Kaler. And we'll see how this will work as your branding and how the package will come together. But again, I want you to work. Right now, I'm not sold with the combination between red and black, only because in a lot of a lot of color theories, the combination of red and black indicates almost extreme type behavior. And I'm not real sure if that is how we want to represent you, or how you want to represent yourself as a designer. I think right now, again, restraint is our friend. So that's my recommendation. If you want it to go a different direction, please give me some reasons why, and by all means. But my recommendation, and I think your strongest mark right now, lies within this rough right here. Okay? Any questions at all, please feel free to give me a holler. Thanks, Shelley.